Hello, travelers, and welcome to a special episode. In this episode, we're going to be debriefing from the second season of the Worldwide Warcrow League. And to help me, I am joined by the TO, Skye, and another player, MechMage. And we'll explain why he's here later.
Spoilers.
I just stuck in. Ignore me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, you guys.
Yeah, good to be here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Right off the bat, thanks for running the event, Skye, because
I mean, honestly, I have the easy job. Kyoza is the one that has to manage all the back end stuff. I just make pairings and run like, hey, my opponent isn't responding kind of problems, which, takes time, but it's not that bad. Hey, and I make all the maps, so you can blame me for round 5.
We'll do that later. We'll get there. Okay. Getting into it. So we have who won the event is MechMage. That's why he's here. Congratulations, wow. MechMage, for winning the second.
What a sweaty try-hard. Well, thank you very much. It was a great tournament. I couldn't have won if Skye hadn't run it, and the dice didn't hurt.
He's not wrong. So we'll get into your list lists in a bit, but let's go through kind of the rankings, and maybe Skye, you can give a bit of your thoughts. We did a bit of a weird thing this league in terms of lists, right? So
yeah. So right now, Warcrow is still pretty early on, especially in terms of like tournament results.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have factions that are actively being released that are pretty like very bare bones at certain points. Like at this point, Mount Haven is getting a decent bit, and as we saw from the Gen Con preview, Redcaps, my boys, are going to be getting new releases starting out like, I don't know when, but soon. I guess we're going to get previews at Gen Con.
The listeners probably know because...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We're recording this the morning of the Gen Con seminar. So if you're watching this, you probably already know when red caps are coming.
There's a fair bit of people that are in the WWL that are also in the playtesting group, myself included, and the new red cap stuff from a technical perspective is very fun. And Privateer Starving Sun, who you should have seen by now, I don't know if you've seen his profile, but 3 red caps and a trench coat is perfection.
They promised it to us a long time ago, and it's coming.
Yep. I don't know if I can say that. Okay.
Don't say things you can't say.
I love him. I love that lad.
He was shown in a video already at this point.
Yes.
Don't say anything more than that.
We have seen the picture of the
render.
Yes. I just don't know if there's certain details about Starving Sun that will be revealed at Gen Con later today that I could reveal or not. So
don't reveal it. We don't want to get you in trouble.
But yeah, so because we have factions that are actively being developed and released like over the course of the league, we wanted to give people the opportunity to hop in on like playing dwarves. I know plenty of people have been waiting for that, and they're a really good faction. And so in order to help accommodate that, but also there are some feats in Warcrow that really push your list needs.
Mm-hmm.
And there are factions that really can't build 2 lists, and there are certain like feat and scenario combinations that really want 2 lists. And so instead of going with a 2-list format like Infinity does, we chose for the WWL this season to go with a roster format. So 250 points is like the tournament standard for Warcrow. And so instead, we gave people 350 points that they could build their list from there on out. And if units got added or you needed things for new missions as the league went on, you could add them to your roster until you hit that 350 point mark. So we've got some interesting data about that. I mean, I can go over a little bit of the like exit survey, which more people need to do the exit survey.
I'm trying to remember if I did it right now. I'm not sure.
I have no idea. Based on the comments, I think you may have done it, but I don't know.
Skye, did you do it? No, Skye. MechMage, did you do it?
I think I did it, but like we were talking about earlier, it took so long to schedule this that I have very foggy memories of this league. That extends to the exit survey.
Well, part of it too is there was a little hiccup on the back end in terms of like some of the terrain assets that we had been using had like potentially had malware, and so that's all been like totally scrubbed. And so the last week of the league was like scrambling and trying to figure stuff out. So and take all the data we have with a grain of salt. But I really wish people would do their exit surveys. It helps me out a lot.
Yeah. So I guess maybe quickly looking through the results, because everyone in community in general seems to be saying CNN's OP, CNN's a problem. There's been some posts recently on Facebook.
There's been a couple of pretty big posts on Facebook. Yes, I've seen those.
So it's worth looking at the results where we actually know the factions. So MechMage obviously came first. He's a dirty elf player.
Yep.
I make no apologies. I'm worth it. I deserve it.
I came second with my
also Scions. A dirty elf ? Player.
Cleaner, very clean. They don't roll around in the trees and dirt. They polish their skin
and their cowbell.
More cowbells, yeah.
That's what the new Mormon needed. It needed more cowbell. It needed like a bridle of cowbells.
Of all the models to have a cowbell, they didn't put a cowbell on the cowman. I am sad that he came out after the league. I would have definitely run him for fun.
No More Map is very fun. Yeah,
it seems fun. So that's two different factions. Kios is not listed, but he was playing Northern Tribes. Because he couldn't put his list in. Zeps, another Scions. Then we have Mount Haven. I assume Bolt was playing Embersig.
It must have been Embersig.
Yeah. So even in the top 6, we now have everyone but Feudum.
And as everyone knows, Feudum is the worst faction.
It is the worst faction. It's terrible.
Struggling.
What do we got? Scions. Xenon, I think, was Feudum.
I don't think so. I thought Traveling Yake was the only Feudum player.
Was Traveling Yake
the only Feudum? That is correct.
Okay.
I think Xenon might have been another dwarf player. I cannot recall.
No, do you know what he was? Did I not play? I'm pretty sure I played Xenon. So we got CNN, Embersig. The point is, there's a pretty good spread.
We do have a pretty good spread.
And outside of, MechMage was CNN, but the next CNN is not until 9th. And it's not like the other CNN players weren't good players. I'm curious what you guys think about the whole balance question of the different factions.
Oh man, that is so Warcrow is a wild game. Yeah, I feel like every time that I play, I look at one or two profiles that my opponents has, and I ask myself, how did they print this? How is this allowed in the game? And then I look at my own profiles and I'm like, oh, I guess I should shut up. So
when everyone has some BS, nobody has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I go on the record for Feudum as a diehard Feudum player with a decent win record. Morgaine is the best in faction, and all of my locals absolutely hate that woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turns out turning off Conquest is just very good.
Is really good.
And also you're vulnerable disarmed.
Also, you're perma-vulnerable disarmed. And in our most recent local, I was running a Jenny list with Genevieve. Sorry, I shouldn't abbreviate for people that don't play Feudum. I was running a Genevieve list with a bunch of knights, like totally brain off. And at one point, my opponent had an anvil and a hearthguard that was locked under Gaze of Salus, and he had used Heraldrix to switch the turn order, and so I wound up taking like 5 activations in a row.
Okay.
Because he had needed to take the turn order like at the early part in order to prevent me from crashing on something. And so it was like, okay, Jenny goes in, and then chain activates this guy, and then that guy goes and chain activates another guy, and then, oh, it's my turn again because you gave me 2 turns in a row because of the swap. So Jenny activates again, and then chain activates that guy, and we killed the Hearthguard. We killed Hearthguard. Mostly because they were polymer vulnerable, disarmed, and multi-engaged. But, you know, it happened.
Turns out that's not good for them.
And I had 5 unopposed actions in a row.
There's a lot of things in Warcrow like that where something seems completely untouchable. And then you realize that it is possible to combine abilities to go wham, bam, slam, like all in sequence like that. And suddenly it's not so untouchable after all.
Yeah. I've experienced that with my echoes multiple times. People
are
like,
locals are really hard to kill, needle. And then sometimes they just die.
Yeah, echoes with needle, you can't kill that. CNN player comes in, one-shots them. It's
I think that's the big thing, is that especially against CNN, the ways that you can interact are not as immediately apparent.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a big thing, is that even if you have like people that are accustomed to war games but have not played a lot of Warcrow, it's like I should be able to attack you, but you block everything, or you heal everything, and it's like, you need to use this tool, you need to position this way, and that's a lot of you need a lot of practice to reach that level of comfort playing against Xenon. They're still the faction that I have the hardest time playing against.
Yeah, you need to know what's coming almost, and plan steps ahead. Like with the change to Leo Slay, so that it's only 3 strides now from a forest for the damage reduction?
3 strides.
Like now you need to, when placing a unit on an objective, if there's a forest nearby, think to make sure they're more than 5 strides.
Get them on the other side of the objective so that they can't charge through the objective and touch you, and still be
near the forest.
And it's a lot of playing against elves is really learning about how to position and screen really effectively. And even then, they're really tough to play against. I will admit, they're really good.
Yes.
You know, playing as I play the worst faction in the game, now that Ember Sig has gotten buffs that it desperately and sorely needed. It's tough, right? But they're not unbeatable. They're just hard.
No, they definitely aren't unbeatable. And that's the other interesting thing. Talking about like the newness of the Warcrow's scoring system, we actually ended up with an interesting situation in the top 2 this time around, because
you were the guy who won the head-to-head, came in second place.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
fun.
It's on my channel. MechMage and I played, and I won, but MechMage won overall.
Yeah, you gotta stomp those newbies harder. I had more victory points I was carrying forward from the other round, and that mattered more for the tiebreakers than the absolute victories.
Yeah, well, it's because I didn't get a single major. You got
Yep.
That's why, because one major and I get ahead on tournament points.
Yep.
But because Warcrow right now is similar to Infinity when they first switched to the scoring system that they are on now, there's not a big gap between
there are not big gaps
and a minor loss. So anyone that played Infinity at that time remembers this happened not all the time, but not uncommonly, until they added an extra point
on the victories. Yeah,
to make that gap just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it does create, like, you pretty much go down the list of the TPs, like, and it's, except for, like, the first and second, everything is, like, 12s, 11, 10, 9, 8. Like, really tight margins. And it's like, yeah, that's like literally one arcane point difference. Like, one extra point on the feet would have gotten you the extra tournament point kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and it taught me something. It's like, for a tournament, like a bigger tournament like this, you can't necessarily play safe. You need to actually really play for those major wins.
Yeah.
Because even if there's only going to be one, true winner in terms of like undefeated, if you don't get the majors, you still won't win.
Yep.
Like, so I see there's like 16 players on this scoreboard. Did we only play I guess it doesn't matter because we both won our last round game by the same number of points. So even if we'd stopped after round 4, the result would have been the same.
I mean, we played all 5 rounds. At least most people did.
Yeah, but like in a normal Swiss tournament, we would have stopped after 4 rounds because there'd be one undefeated. But I mean, this wasn't a tournament; it was a league, so it is what it is.
So you would, if winners being determined by undefeated.
Yes.
But the scoring system that Warcrow currently has doesn't actually say that, right? There's not a win-loss before a tournament point.
I mean, this is exposing me as someone who has not read the tournament pack recently.
What?
You don't read it every day?
Yeah, right?
Literally every day and make comments about it?
So, now that we get to this, I'm like, I don't know, like, how many rounds does the tournament pack say to play?
And, for 16 people?
If it's
a minimum of 3.
Minimum of 3. Okay, well, we achieved that many, so this was a legal event.
Yes.
Yeah.
A Warcrow tournament requires a minimum of 3 rounds. But so pretty much you get a point for winning military points, a point for winning arcane points, and a point for winning the match. Pretty much.
No.
Well, that's the simplified version.
No, but it adds up to 4.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so that's the spirit of it.
The max is 4.
But like the way it actually works is if you win both military and arcane, you get 4.
Yes.
If you win one of them, but also win
3.
overall, that's 3.
That's 3, yeah.
If you...
Okay, so I guess it's 2 points for the win. It's 2 points for the win, yeah.
And then another point for each secondary you win.
Another point for each secondary. Yeah.
What it really is you get 3 points for winning. If you win both, you get 4.
You get 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then minor is the reverse of it, right?
Yeah, if you win 1 but lose overall, that's worth 1 point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'd be curious to see. It's too early for Warcrow to know how often this happens.
Yeah,
I know
this
with
is
Infinity
probably
it happened a
one
bunch.
of the largest participation Warcrow tourneys we've had so far.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it's the largest. I think the one at Adepticon or the upcoming one at Gen Con may be a little bigger.
Adepticon was smaller.
Gen Con was smaller?
Adepticon was.
How many was Adepticon?
In the like WTS event, I think it was only like 12.
Okay.
Or 15.
So yeah, this may be our largest sample size, right?
But they did have more in their like narrative events. Like they had multiple events that were bigger, but not the WTS event. So Gen Con might be big. We'll see after the results come out. I think they're playing today. But this is a much nicer looking leaderboard than we saw at Adepticon.
Yeah. Well, a part of that is the good changes to tribes, good changes to hedge. Man, Marhale is so hard to kill. That's so hard to kill. And then like just more options for everyone in general. Like we have an entire extra faction that is added into what you can play. Stuff like that.
Well, and I talked about this in that video that I did after Adepticon. I think there's also a bit of it with in-person events of there's a lot of people in the area that like elves. So you're going to see more elves. And sure, a large portion of the top 10 was elves, but also more than the majority of the event was elves.
It was like 7 of, it was like, was it?
It was like 7 of 12.
Or 7 or 12? Yeah, of 12.
Like,
yeah, it's like, okay, even with random distribution, like 2 or 3 of your top 4 will be elves.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
And people didn't pay attention, it wasn't clear. Sure, Northern Tribes was in like 4th or something, but they were like a point away at top table from winning. So like sometimes looking at final results is like, well,
yeah,
you really
it can be hard
balance
to
off of it.
Context. Yeah. But like I think part of it too is the like dwarves are pretty well built up as like kind of an anti-Xenon tech faction. Like they have a lot of anti-ambusher tech. Like they're just really hard to kill. So instead of like when you might one-shot like a group of 4 dorks, you're not going to one-shot a group of 4 dwarves.
No.
Especially not when you're like, oh, I'm perma-disarmed. And so you didn't have as much of like the natural predators of elves. Like it was, I have my husk screens, or like
Outhura.
My Northern Tribes guys just do 6 damage to you when you attack me, and you hate that. So
yeah, they're scary.
I think it's just there's more. Because there's more options that people have to build around and have to deal with, there are more natural like counters that are coming out as well. Granted, I think Mount Haven is really strong, but
it is, and they're getting stronger with every new release.
I
was lucky.
I will state for the record, there are a couple of units in Mount Haven that I'm actively petitioning, like as a playtester, to be like, no, this needs to change because they're really good.
Yeah,
well, now I'm just excited.
You have not seen some of the stuff, and some of it is really good. It's also really fun. Like they are a fun faction to play, but they're very good.
Okay, let's move into kind of going through the missions and getting your thoughts on. I want to hear your thoughts behind the tables you designed too. So we'll do that. We'll also talk about MechMage's lists as
You
best as
thinking
you
I
can
have
remember them.
thoughts.
Just make it up. No. Okay, so this was, I believe, your list for the first round or two, MechMage. You can correct anything. So it's...
Yeah, that looks right.
So you're running Leo Slate and Shadows because you're creative.
Actually, so
Hey,
this is
he's
not
running Shadow
right.
of the Hawthorn, which is a
So
what's
the
wrong?
models are correct, but I swapped the attachments. I was putting Leo in the Wardens and the Captain in the Shadows.
Okay. So you were creative.
Yeah. I like made the most minor change possible to the like try-hard meta list.
So the idea of that was have
So
the
there's
DR on the board?
So yeah, that's like the first reason is I think like the number one mistake that new CNN players make is they drop their Shadows of the U too early. They get excited, they've got these super ninjas, the first viable target, they slam them in there. If you can wait until the like a little later in the game to make your opponent keep sweating longer, and wait until they're the most extended and most vulnerable, and then hit them with the Shadows, that's maximum impact. But if you leave Leo in the Shadows, then that means like the longer she's off the board, you're not encircling. And it may not be obvious to a new player how much like one damage reduction is in this game. It is a massive amount.
Mm-hmm.
You will
is encircling not permanent?
No.
It is dauntless. So if she is in hiding, she is not encircling. The other issue is
I
that
can kill her and deal with it.
Leo Slave has some extremely powerful join text where whenever her unit charges, she can reroll 2 dice and she gives out vulnerable, which again, it may not be obvious to a new player how much of a force multiplier that is, but it is fantastic. So the Sienna Wardens have this this cool feign retreat thing they do, where whenever they rally, you spend a command token and then they just charge out of sequence. Doesn't take one of your 15 turns. And then if Leo's in them, that's a charge. That gives out a vulnerable. It gets the rerolls. So the idea was, if you want to kill things, Leo and Wardens will grind through things better than anything else.
Yeah, you can leave the Shadows for actually doing assassination runs.
Precisely. So that was the idea behind the list. The second idea is that the problem with Warcrow is that it's way too fair, where both players have models on the table. They have to put those models in places, and then those models are stuck in those places.
Oh, we can't have that.
Right, we've got this great keyword called ambush, where you leave your guys in the quantum zone, and then whenever you need them somewhere, they're just, automatically there. No planning, no commitment required. So I just took every model that said ambusher, and I had 30 points left over. Previously, that would have been Verkana because she also says ambush. But Verkana had both of her legs and both of her arms brutally broken.
That's
in
not
the last balance pass.
She went from one of the best ambushers in the entire game to a unique and interesting profile.
Yes,
but
okay. I'm not saying that she was fine. Okay,
but
I'm not saying that.
Huge.
It was a huge nerf.
I thought it was. Oh my gosh! As the Feudum player, Magister is so sad.
Right.
I used to think it was like she's just dead. I've used her and had her against me a couple times since then. She's not as bad as the initial thought was.
She's still good, but she's no longer. I can just like kill whoever I want whenever I want to.
Right.
She kills a guy, not a unit.
Right.
Yes.
So as a CNN player, I'm very used to killing whoever I want whenever I want. So when I get a unit that doesn't do that, I think, do I really want my do I need a 5th ambusher really? So instead I put the Shadow of the Hawthorn, just kind of as a test model. This guy seems really cool. And it turns out this guy is fantastic. I wish I had been running him earlier. He is so he doesn't solve every problem, but there is a long list of units that simply cannot deal with him that cost 2 to 3 times as much as he does.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's my joined like medium or like elite unit that is like now like 1 conquest and can do like 0 to 1 damage.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
especially Leo.
He's so good.
He is very good. So
You need to
that's
shoot
the
him.
list. This list will deploy the Wardens with the attachment and the Druid and the Hawthorne, and that's it. So I've got
and the Forest.
And a Forest. The Druid Forest. It blows my mind that there are CNL players who don't bring the Druid. Like, even if the model didn't show up, I would pay 20 points just to be able to place a decently sized forest wherever I need it on the table. Because so much of our tech is like gated behind being near a forest, and that thing blocks line of sight. You can just stick ambushes in there and they can be as close as you want.
Yep.
So that's extremely good.
One clarification.
Yeah.
Encircling defense is not dauntless. If Leo's
That's
Link
right.
is fleeing, it's also turned off.
Did I say it was dauntless? You know, this
You
is
did.
going to be a preview for like a later match in which I forget how my own abilities work.
Reading the
And
cards
it ends
plays
up
the card.
being very helpful. But for the most part, we don't do that. We play fair, and it used to be dauntless. Dauntless didn't used to be a thing, and one day I will learn the current rules.
Technically, before it wasn't dauntless, people just played it wrong.
Yeah, people just played it wrong because it was not clear.
Well, before dauntless wasn't a mechanic, like
Exactly, it would have turned off.
Well, it wouldn't have. The rule that says things turn off when you
No, it would have.
That was always
all
there.
of your skills turn off when you flee. And that's
always been there.
The problem was it was not clear. Yeah.
Jeez.
The problem was it was not clear that that's what happened. And so Dauntless came out and helps to clarify, like, oh,
here are things that it don't do.
My guys now don't get this stuff when they're running away.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
okay. Let's jump on to the first mission and map. So this was the only normal mission.
What does that even mean?
This was the only purely WTS mission.
Yes.
So we consolidated progress.
The winners from the others.
Yeah. Consolidated progress, one of my favorite, where you have this cool like map like that, and you just ignore these sections of the map. And then the Rift, every Scion player's favorite mission.
And everyone else's least favorite mission.
So, just because it's not clear for people, this is a giant line of sight blocking impassable terrain that just cuts access to these two objectives from each other. This is impassable. I think this was impassable. This is impassable. You like impassable terrain is what we're kind of.
I do. Yes. I like having places where like scouts and ambushers can deploy in like weird little spots. And I also like having to move around terrain. If terrain doesn't matter, why are you playing a war game? In my opinion,
it's fair.
Right.
nice.
So what were your thoughts in making this map?
So I personally really like the Rift. I am a masochist and I'm a bit of a sadist, as players that have played in my tournaments know. So I think the Rift is really cool and it's very flavorful. It's just a really hard mission. And so I wanted like a pretty straightforward, like bread and butter mission to go with it. Consolidated Progress is one of my favorites too, because like it really encourages you to engage and like push for the opposite side of the table. And so for the map, almost all the maps have one forest. I think there's a single one with two. Because I do think it's a little mean to not give elf players at least one forest, but giving them 2 is definitely like a buff on the map.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I wanted to have sides, maps should never be symmetrical because then it never matters who picks side. So we have like one side that's pretty heavily defensible because it has like a big line of sight blocking area that you can kind of even block off on the edge with like a screening unit. And it's also a position where you could potentially put like a high value caster or similar solo. And then the other side
here, where the yellow unit line is.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other side is like it still has some defensibility. Like you can't just like walk at it, and there is like some rugged terrain. So if you have a faction that's good with rugged, like Feudum, ironically, Xenon is really good with rugged, then you can have like a little bit where you can screen out an area but not be charged as easily, or have places where you can stand and shoot like down kind of the midline through and look where you can see the other objectives and like not be immediately charged. And then this one is I put the forest where I did, where it has pretty solid access to any of the midfield objectives, but it's still like all the way on the other side of the giant, huge wall from the nice little defense corner. So like, if you want the defensive side, you get the defensive side. But if you want to deny it from your opponent, you're not going to have as good of access with the forest that's available.
Okay.
But yeah, like other than that, I like to have a couple of spaces. Partially, this was built a little bit before the changes to scouts, where scouts can deploy. This was just after the changes to scouts, where scouts can deploy if they don't have line of sight. So I wanted at least one position like that tent over on the left side, where there was this place that scouts could deploy pretty close to the like a little bit closer to one of the objectives, even if there are enemies nearby, kind of thing.
That makes sense.
I don't think that was a huge game changer for anyone, but like that's the intent.
Okay.
So how did you approach this, MechMage?
Okay, so I looked at this map, and I saw that massive impassable wall between the two red objectives, and I thought, one unit can't defend this because it's going to take an entire turn of just hoofing it to go around that wall to the other objective, which means, let's suppose there's like some bucklermen or some militia on the like bottommost objective, and I drop an ambusher on that objective right above it to take it. I've got an entire my opponent is going to be pulling his hair out because he's going to like have to run so far to like try and get me. And I can just drop another ambusher on that bottom objective because there's this huge line of sight blocking thing around it. And that's mean. I also thought, so normally...
Where was your forest?
I got the top side, and I stemmed it right between the two blue objectives. Yeah, just like that. So we were just talking about how the Shadow of the Hawthorn can like really lock somebody down. So I got really lucky with the pairings. I got Korshai, who's a very good player, but he was playing dwarves, and he just had the action pack at this point. Nothing else had released.
Yeah, so this was like day one of the league, virtually.
Exactly. So he can send his raiders in to attack my back objectives, and he wants to because like those are worth a lot of points. But as soon as he does that, I just slam the Shadow of the Hawthorn on top of him, and they lose all their conquest. They can't walk away. They can't place out. Like they can't win a fight because they're like a ranged like harass unit like tied up with
they're like red, orange, yellow on melee.
2 orange,
against
2 yellow.
Your like 6+ blocks.
Right. So like the forest is there to get encircling defense on the Hawthorne and to give him something to like place next to that covers the entire objectives. So I did that, and like the backfield was basically completely secured. I had lured my wardens. I just walked her forward onto the central objective and said, like, I've got this, come and take it. And then he tried.
Come and claim it.
But the problem was I still had the shadows of the shadows of the U, which, as I said, can come out at the exact right time. So I won that central fight fairly handily. And we look at those red objectives where they've got that massive wall between them. So Eileen has this great ability where she just places herself 10 whenever she wants. And that wall is narrower than 10 strides. So there was like a couple of turns where we had Militia running back and forth trying to take the point from her. And she'd just be like, whatever, shoot you, slow you, disarm you, hop across, take the other points.
Oh, gosh.
So my opponent had a pretty bad time. This was the Rift. The thing about the Rift is you get a bonus if you're spellcasters. And if you can like throw somebody on there like a cheap solo who can maybe ambush anywhere you want, then you give your opponent a really hard decision because they can either walk out into the middle of the nowhere to like clean the Rift with a more expensive unit, or they could play like the rest of the game and then you get a big pile of arcane points. So this was a pretty this was like halfway through turn 2. It was obvious that my opponent couldn't possibly come back. And I mean, props to him for being a trooper and playing it out. I think a lot of things came together to give me a massive advantage in this game, and that translated into a victory.
Nice. I will say thank you, Skye, that you made this map right after Harvester Riders were dropped, because this was my first game playing with them. I saw the impassable terrain, was like, yes, be over there. My horses will ride through the wall. Okay, let's move on. I believe the next mission you had the same list you told me.
That sounds right.
We're going to say yes. And we already said where it was flipped around, so let's just jump in.
Yep.
This was a fun one.
Yeah, I remember this mission.
So we had track, which is race to finish it, and then the artifact, which I went over with Grotneb a while back, but it's fight over the middle 3, hold the far one for you, and then once the 4 have been held, the middle gets turned on.
Yeah. So I mentioned I'm sorry, let's talk about the map first.
Yeah, let's talk about the map first. So
Sure, yeah.
let's see. Skye likes impassable. So impassable.
Bonk.
Impassable. 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 Now, the interesting thing here, and I don't know if it was intentional, I mean to ask about this. So these wall segments have impassable brackets except for the doorways, which there's like doorways here. And then it has line of sight blocking. But the line of sight blocking isn't except for the doorways. So
that is true. I did not put a parentheses except for the archways.
So was that intentional?
No, that was absolutely not intentional.
Okay.
That was just
a note for next time.
Clarity, because I'm dumb.
Okay, so that's because it definitely threw me and my opponent off in a game or two where we had those. Because like in this mission, my opponent's like, "Oh, I'll shoot you through," and I was like, "I know we can't shoot through."
Asterisk. Yeah. No, that's fair. The parentheses are very powerful tools, and I forgot to use those on the archways. Oh man, I don't know if anyone else played it that way, but
at least
yeah,
3 people
I can definitely see that happening.
this is the map where you have the two forests, one on each
Yes.
side. There's the one over. There's one over here, one over here. I think this one was like rugged. The other one wasn't.
That sounds right.
And then you had your
one is a heavy forest and one is not.
rough terrain here with not a big enough gap for people to like squeeze through here.
Well, yeah, because you can functionally make the terrain piece bigger by just pushing it out a little bit, but not far enough. So with this, I think when I was kind of mentally planning for things, I wanted it to be a little on theme. So we have like this ruin where you're looking for this artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew because of how I wanted access to the actual center area a little bracketed. And because that is what kind of created part of the asymmetry of the map, that's why I chose to go with two forests. And I put them off to the side of like, okay, the forests have access to this one objective.
Yeah.
Or potential ambush spots. But like, it gave you more options, but without actually giving you much more options. And then I made one of them rugged because, you know, it helps for not everything is both. So there was one side that was kind of the rugged side that could be useful for defending, and there was one side that was the not rugged side but has more impassable.
Yeah, makes sense. I did really enjoy how you had the like bracketed off around the center objective because it is an important objective where the top side can, you know, access it this way, or this way, but this side has to go like the bottom side has to go around, which does do that asymmetry that you were talking about.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea, at least.
Okay, MechMage, now you're on. What do you got?
Okay. So I put my druid forest right where that fourth wall around the central objective should be, right between the two objectives, just there. And the point of that was, you know, there's like tons of forests on the right side of this map, and then nothing on the left side. So I figure with that third forest, I've now got really good walker coverage wherever I want to teleport to.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who won the tactical test at the beginning, but I do know I was on the blue side. At this point, I'm always deploying everything centralized. I have been ruined by scouts deploying on the flank and then just running in to get the edge of my deployment zone before. So I'm in the habit of just everything in the center. And I was shown the terror that is Lotta Tundra Marauders. In this game was my introduction to that combination.
Lotta plus anything is like, wow, that does like 4 more damage than I thought it did.
Now,
I faced it too.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah. So this was track. So you do the thing that you do where you like run up and get the vestige immediately and like get it going, but then my wardens get immediately just devastated by Tundra Marauders. And fortunately, they do get a defensive switch to like jump off and get away. I think they were covering the vestige at that point. They were physically like body blocking it so that no one could come up and touch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had an extremely dangerous and deadly unit like directly in my face. And I panicked a little bit. And you generally should not do that. So I dropped the you know what they did? They ended up hiding like between these two boxes on the bottom left. So they were close enough to like jump out and attack the blue objective, but like somewhere in that area.
So like this area.
Yeah, like that area. So I'm thinking I've got to deal with these guys or else they'll ruin me. It's worth it to drop the shadows immediately. So this is my thought process. Ambush has just been nerfed. So now if you do a long action after ambushing, it costs you an extra stress. But if the shadows can ambush into melee because they're in my DZ. But if they do that, they don't get silent and precise. So they're not so they're not turning off switches. And the Marauders
so the Marauders were in your DZ.
Yes.
They were like here?
They were like closer to that first blob. They were close enough I could have ambushed directly into melee with them.
Okay.
Because they spawned like behind the building. They'd like placed and they run, placed, like smashed something, and then escape. It's been long enough. I forget the exact details.
Okay.
They're hanging out over there. I end up making the decision. I need the charge to turn off switches, because if they don't, they can run away on their switch.
Yeah.
But then I make the decision. Do I really want to like take a third stress to push this unit all the way, and do I want to stress the attack? And I decide I can't stress this attack because then I need the stress later. I'm gonna need to keep activating these shadows to punish the Marauders. But my opponent stresses his defense, and then now you'll notice something about these boxes is there's no forests anywhere near them. So encircling is down. I didn't stress the attack, and Lada has got Crack the Whip running. So I send those shadows in, and they get their asses kicked on their own charge. I lose the combat.
That's what drives the shadows.
Yeah.
Just like, you're going to do 4 to me, I'm going to do 5 to you.
Yeah. It feels pretty bad. I think the shadows lived on 1 wound, so they took 3. But I have failed to inflict the stress by winning combat, which means the Marauders can now activate again. Yes.
Yeah. They just activate, finish you off.
Yeah. So things are going bad, and I'm questioning, like, is there any chance that I can still win this? Well, we'll play it out. It's a tournament. A minor a minor defeat is better than a major defeat. Mm-hmm. So I start playing the objectives. I start running guys anywhere at every objective to try to hold more. Because it's such a tangled mess, we don't finish off the feat track until the second round, which usually that gets right. So it's a tangled mess. What ends up happening is Leo, she has to leave the Wardens, which causes their stress to overcap, because their morale goes down when she leaves the bonus. She runs off to the my last vestige. She's got 3 orange dice with elite. She's got enough stress that she can push it if she has to, and she completely skunks the track roll. Yeah. It's crazy, because then on the next activation, my opponent finishes his track. So everything that can go wrong this game is going wrong. But I've got one thing going for me, and that's my opponent is here to have fun and kill things, and he is not here to play the objective.
He's here to play drives, baby.
Right, exactly. And he's doing a good job. He gets me down to 3 or 4 models on the table by the end of the game. But I'm just... I've got the Walker picking guys up and hiding. I end up completely abandoning the entire bottom half of the board. I've got Eileen dropping in hither and thither, jumping onto different objectives. The Hawthorne hangs out in that Druid forest, jumping between those points. And by the end of the game, I'm only down 2 points on track. And I go up 2 or 3 points on the primary objective and just barely squeak by on a win. And it's not because I played better than my opponent. I think that I like objectively made more mistakes than he did. He had a plan, he stuck to it. I had a plan, I abandoned it immediately. But I played the objectives, and he was there for kills, and that's what it came down to.
That's how you win, right?
That's how you win this game. And I'll be honest, I'm still shaken from playing it. But it was a lot of fun, and I'd be happy to play it again. Experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. I will state for the record on the TO side, this is the map that most people have said that they liked the most.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's a good map.
So, and the fifth one was.
I'm glad that like every ounce of it was getting used in that game.
For sure.
Oh yeah, even in my game was the same. Like we were all over the map just because where the track ended up going. I will say, you saying, yeah, we didn't finish track until round 2. So
that's wild.
I was like,
as a CNR player.
Well, no, to me, I'm like, we finished ours round 3. I don't rush track.
What?
So I cheat. I'm a Scion player. So my opponent gets their first track, and then the echoes surround it, and I do mine at my leisure.
Okay, sure. So part of the reason that I decided to pair these two together is because when you're moving the vestige, you could potentially move it onto the opponent, onto the color, like onto a specific objective that you need to have taken in order for the center objective to open up. And so I don't know if anyone did that, but that was kind of the idea, is like you can kind of maneuver your opponent's need to go around in places. And like, you don't want to activate that objective to have this open, but you need to in order to get the vestige, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. That does make sense. Ours, in mine, I moved my opponents onto an objective. Just not to turn on the center. I intentionally avoided turning the center on until round 3. But just so the echoes could wrap it while also scoring.
Hey, that's fair too.
But this was an interesting mission because you're not incentivized to like capture the one close to you. You just want your opponent not to have it.
Not take it. Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't want to leave it empty, but the moment you step on it, it turns on.
Yeah. Unless you have to just like walk around it and like just body block it.
Or you need to use abilities that place other units. Because if they don't activate, it doesn't turn on.
Yep.
So like for me, Puppeteer walked a unit of husks just to stand on it. Never turned on.
Yep.
But it's definitely a cool mission. Like the map.
I really liked this mission. It's one of my favorites from the... So, for those that aren't aware, we ran all of the 2 feats and the two scenarios that won the Warcrow like design a scenario contest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely one of my favorites because it asks a lot of weird questions that aren't immediately apparent until you're like sitting down and playing it.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, no, I don't want to take that objective. If I do that, that potentially gets my opponent more objective. What?
Yeah. And it's straightforward though. Like there's a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
The rules themselves, straightforward. I'm actually running this in my next local event. I decided to put it in. So
yeah, it is a very lenticular design. That is the very fancy game designer term. Is like it is simple on its face and has a lot of additional like context that changes over as you play it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it was intentional, but I personally agree that it's a very good design and I really like it.
So MechMage got to switch up his list because we're using that roster system, and it was pretty much the same. You just swapped the CNN captain for Iotis.
Rowan?
That's right. So there was 2 reasons I did this.
Oh, for the Iotis.
So one is over like playing enough practice games, like both on the league and off the league, I appreciated that even though the like the flat join bonus, like the stat bonuses for the CNN captain in the shadows is pretty similar to Leo's flat join bonus. The vulnerable and like the double reroll, the captain of the shadows of the U, like that is so massive. When I first was playing, I put them together. For like a long time, I switched her out to like put Leo somewhere else with just the captain in the shadows, thinking that the U are so good they can work with they're still good even with just a captain. But Leo in there just pushes them over the edge just that little bit more. That I felt that was worth it. And the thing about the Audios, he came in the action pack. We had a lot of fun with him before we had any releases. And then he kind of got like left by the wayside because he's a join who has no like attack boost. He has no defense boost.
He gives abilities, but not stats.
Right. He's got kind of like a worse version of intimidating that never seems to do anything. He has a spell that's pretty neat. When he walks out, he can like turn something off. That's cool, but it takes an entire activation and it only lasts 3 turns. So the list of abilities that are worth spending an entire turn turning off in this game is pretty short. Like there's a few of them, but there's a pretty good chance your opponent will have nothing that like is worth having the Audios like dispel. And then do you really want to like put one of your like precious few join slots on a guy like that? But what really like got him into this list that I didn't appreciate for the longest time was the Song and Healing Herbs ability, where he will, as an action, pull 1 stress and 1 state off of his unit and then give it to an enemy that he can see. And that is just phenomenal value. Stress management is a massive, massive part of Warcrow. A lot of the times, you won't want to kill your enemy. Like you will, but it's not worth the effort to do so. If you can get them engaged, activated at max stress, that unit is doing nothing until next round. And that's basically as good as dead in a game as fast as Warcrow. So the Audios, like you can hit, like his unit can spend an action attacking, win combat and give 1 stress. And then he can, use herbs and songs to give the guy another stress. 2 stress and 1 activation is fantastic. It's hard to beat that. And it's also like when you're like willpower is generally high enough in this game that it's pretty rare for a unit to flee from like just overcapping by 1. You only need 1 star, that's easy to roll. 2 stars is a lot harder to roll. And if you give somebody if someone was capped, then you give them 2 more stress, there's a good chance that they're fleeing. And that's like 2 turns, that's a long time in Warcrow that they're doing nothing. So the thing about the Wardens, when I originally like conceived of them, you look at the like counter merch maneuvers and you think this would be so cool. I'm going to get so many extra charges. The problem with that is that Wardens are Xenon's highest conquest unit. And if they flee off the point in order to charge, well, you've now given up the point. And the point is what wins you the game. So on paper, you think that you can like counter merge, charge in, flee, charge in again for free, really good value. In practice, what I find is it almost always feels like they desperately have to stand here or else I lose the game. And the Audios rewards you for standing there because if you start engaged, then you've got 2 actions and you can do Herb's attack. So that was the logic. What he loses in not giving the static bonuses, he makes up for where he lets the Wardens push their attacks more often by removing stress from them. and the opponent can't push as much because he's putting stress on them, and it turns into an extremely valuable, extremely like potent grind out fighting unit. So that was the logic of that switch. It was kind of a like test game to see how well it would work in practice. And I'm still putting the Adios in the Wardens. I can say that it works really well, and I think that this version of the list is stronger. There's one caveat: he doesn't have a conquest bonus. So when the other guy has got a conquest 3 unit, and you get to the point first, and you put 2 conquest on there, and then he gets there second, and he just stands there and takes it, like that's pretty bad. So with that one like weakness of this new list acknowledged, I will say that it's pretty good, and I'm glad to run it.
I will say that combo got even more annoying when you had the druid spell on them, so then they lost even more stress.
Yeah, it's like I'm down 2 stress.
So
fully refreshed.
So when we mentioned the druid a little bit earlier when we first went over the list, I think it is worth emphasizing. The druid is really good. Exalting the troops is you spend like 1 action and you're potentially adding a red die to 4 attacks, and you're potentially reducing your stress by 4. And it's really hard to get like 4 triggers like that over 4 turns. But if there is going to be a knockdown, drag out fight, like on the point, because of the druid, the CNN are phenomenally good at it.
Yeah. Just like the ability to manage stress without even having to do anything makes a huge difference.
And he can put it right on the Wardens. They're Nemeris, so they can accept the exalting buff, and then wherever they go, they're always going to be in range.
Yeah. Okay, let's check out the map and mission. So this was Loot, a controversial mission in some ways, and Chain of Command, which was, it's a weird feat.
It is a weird feat.
Essentially, once per round, you want a model that's holding the orders to pass them to another unit. They make a willpower roll. If the receiving unit's a character,
the receiving unit is a character or has a character, an auto success. You get a bonus.
Yeah, you get an auto success, so you only need 1 instead of 2 successes. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this. I have some thoughts about this mission combination.
So it was a bit of a joke, like a bit of a meme, right? Of like, how many things can your guys carry? And but also if you have a unit carrying loot and they are carrying the orders, like that is a really high priority kill unit for your opponent. And so it was kind of the how many shopping bags before someone literally just like assassinates me because I'm too juicy a target. Loot is a little tricky, just in the nature of how it is currently designed. And it is, so there's a big rush for the middle objective immediately, and then you run away and hide. And I wanted for Chain of Command to make you have to like, walk around and share things, but also like kind of after the fact, it was you can pick up the loot, run back to your DZ, and then everyone stands in a huddle and talks to each other. And that was not the gameplay loop that we were looking for. And that's I could have thought about that combination a little bit more. And while I don't know how bad it turned out in terms of the average play experience, that is a potential play experience that I don't want to repeat.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say, because in my experience with loot, if you're bringing someone, or if one of the players is bringing a model that can run out and grab it, like first activation, so often it seems to just become one person grabs it, huddles around one of the objectives their opponent wants, and then the other one is like in this big catch-up position. And that's like, I know from I'm interested to hear how your game went, MechMage, but my game essentially went, someone went here, and then this objective came back, and then there's just a little bubble, and your opponent now needs to walk across. I also found, because everyone was seemingly bunkering, it's really hard to strip that order off of someone if your opponent is actually thinking to block them. But I'm interested to hear how you went on this.
I played against Scions this game, and something we didn't talk about with CNN is they're also really fast.
Yeah.
So
really?
Yeah. So
you don't say.
Even just walking. So what I was able to do was I would put on the red side. I just put a unit, like I think it was Wardens, directly across from that central objective, and on like and they can walk up and pick it up in like a double move action.
Yep.
And anybody else that's not CNN, or not elves, I should say.
Yeah,
it takes some 2 move actions to do that. So I got to the middle first, and then I just ran to the back and to the right, and I just stood my like block of 5 guys who could just around that forward red objective. And then my opponent couldn't take it, and I had the Audios, and they could just keep pulling stress off of them. So there was it got derpy. There was because we had to like pass the orders back and forth, but neither of our list was super well optimized for it, because this is like the drawback of having a million ambushers is you can only receive the orders if you're on the table. So it got a little bit it got a little silly with characters leaving units and like giving the order to the druid, and then like the druid desperate to be nowhere because he'll die to a stiff breeze and he's holding the orders.
Okay.
And
actually, that's a question I have.
Hey, listen, Eileen achievement in order to get them, like using Hey, listen to get them close enough to give them.
Yeah. But
that is an achievement unlocked for sure.
Was Leo Slay on her own?
She had to be on her own in this mission.
Yeah.
So the shadows had no attachment. The you didn't.
Because the leader of your force had to start with the orders on the table is the reason why.
Exactly. So that was fine. I think she passed them to the wardens, and then it was only when like they were on the wardens, and the wardens were near nobody except for Leo, that I then realized that I couldn't give them right back to Leo because she had already had them. So that was when I had to like have the Audios run off and give it to the druid. And so the other thing about CNN is they're really good at sniping backfield objectives because of all the ambushers. And with the Shadow of the Rowan has got camouflage, so as long as she's near terrain, you can only see her if you're within 7 strides of her. So my opponent thought that his like backfield loot was safe until on like the bottom of until the last activation of the round, I just dropped an ambusher on it. Like now I have way more loot. And it's such a big swing to have more loot and to deny loot in this mission. Yeah. And like that just got me so far ahead that he couldn't catch me. So CNN's just really good at doing feats. They're really good at fighting honestly, but they're also really good at avoiding honest fights and running around to do the mission. And like that came together in this game and got it for me, despite a little bit of flailing.
Yeah. I will say, I believe every faction has at least a unit that can grab the loot first activation.
Oh, yeah, if you bring cavalry.
So yes, cavalry, now that calves exist, and
cavalry,
things like raiders.
Dwarves can do it with their weird double jump if you scout in your own deployment zone. Ishmael can do it with anyone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yes.
And then, most others have a 4-3 move. That's you need a 4-3 move unit to get it. So like Scions use echoes. Northern tribes use a blue person. That's
So rather than saying that like elves can do it and other people can't, what I should say is it's super convenient for elves to do it, and other people have to go out of their way.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Every elf can do it. Everyone else needs to make sure they have a unit. But okay, this one's pretty simple. We can move on to your next match, which also was Scions.
Mm-hmm.
And you did switch up your list again. So this is your new list.
Oh, clouded. Nice.
Right.
So the clouded came in.
Right, because this was a banner mission. And so the thing about banner is your banner unit needs to not be joined, and it can't have a join in it. And there's really good economics of having characters joined in this game, because you only have 15 activations, and every bonus you can squeeze into those activations is way better. So my normal list does that. It joins everything it can. So the Clouded stand out as a unit in CNN that have no legal joins and are statted to still be pretty good anyway.
Yeah.
They're slippery because they can run away really easy with their place action. They have camouflage, and they hit pretty hard. So the plan was, I'm gonna bring the Clouded. They're gonna look until they can pick something off, get some points in my banner, and then they'll run away and not drop it. So they took up I took the Hawthorne out for this because that's kind of the flex slot in this army.
Yep.
And otherwise, it should look just like the previous mission.
Cool. Let's look at the map. Your opponent in this one was kind of a jerk, though. So
I'll be honest, it was a real asshole. He almost put me off Warcrow entirely. But I knew that if I won the last round, I could bump him out of winning the whole thing, and that kept me going.
To be clear, the joke is it was me. So you were on the bottom side. If we thought some of the earlier maps had line of sight blocking impassable, we had this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This. I think even this. There was a few doors, but it was still the lack of brackets. And then additionally, we had some nice rugged terrain here and rugged terrain here. So this was another mission. This one was the one Groton made. And there was a cool mechanic
that is why the map exists the way
we didn't use in our game, because I didn't remember it until the end of the game. I was too focused on trying to not die. And that is, if you're on an objective, you can spend your full action to teleport to the other objective of the same color.
Yes.
Which I assume is the logic for this giant...
Yes, that is the logic for the giant freaking wall in the middle. So, this map is designed 100% with the scenario in mind. So, in Arcane Ruins, you can teleport from one objective to the other objective of its color, so you're teleporting diagonally across the map. And so I wanted people to engage with the mission partially by incentivizing of walking kind of sucks in this mission. Now I do think it came up that one or two of the entrances could not fit a large unit.
Yep.
And there were supposed to be, I think one of them was supposed to be, but it was just like a tiny bit too small. But part of it was, your large units are going to be moving vertically or taking the teleportation circle, and then your other units are kind of be moving horizontally or taking the teleportation circle.
Just feedback wise, it might be worth in the terrain listing.
Yeah,
saying
noting
opening fits large, only small, things like that.
Yeah, I usually am like pretty good about going through, and I think there was one that I had it that way, and then it was the actual terrain was just taking up a little too much space on a very dense map, and so it got downsized a little bit without coming back to check that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so how did this go for you?
Okay, so deployment went well. So I put I put some solid over there.
Coloring thing,
so that way they've got camouflage up, and I'm thinking these guys are great. They can leap over the wall, pick off something as soon as it's vulnerable, and then leap back to safety. I put my forest between the two left objectives, so I could then, leap out of that and threaten either of them. And now I'm thinking this is fantastic because we've got 4 objectives. 3 of them have forests on them. Things could not be better.
And the Scions had all the Risen nonsense here.
They had a million zombies up there.
Yeah,
10,000
as you do.
And then Echoes and Marked over here.
Yes, that's right.
It was like dead versus dead and rocks. Sorry, living in rocks on the
living
one side.
In rocks. And living rocks.
So, 2 things about this match. First, someone had come into CNN chat and said, "Does CNN suck? They always lose every time I watch a YouTube video." And I say to this guy, I had one bad game that ended up on YouTube. I swear CNN are good.
When was that game?
Was on. Oh, that was in the previous league against the same opponent, actually, in the first season.
Also round 4.
Yeah. Funny how that happened. So I was here to defend the honor of my faction and prove that CNN are good. The other complication totally fell out of my brain. So
you forgot that horses walk through walls.
No, we'll get to that. Here's the other complication. This match is on YouTube. So I'm about to recount how I remember it. All of our viewers can go watch the match and see how close I am. And based on that, extrapolate how close I was to all of those other summaries, which may or may not resemble what I said in the slightest. Okay, so this match. The plan's pretty straightforward. Just walk forward, get on the points. What I wasn't counting on, and this is I had just played against Scions who played Harvest Riders, so I have no excuse for this. The Harvest Riders, they walk forward. A million zombies go onto that front northeast point. And then the Harvest Riders charge through the wall. They don't charge. It had to be an assault. They assault through the wall into the Clouded.
No, they charged.
How did you get line of sight?
I can see through walls.
You can see through walls when you do that. Oh, sick.
Yeah. So the Harvest Riders had moved up to here.
Right.
To get within 7. To get around camo.
Right. So that they get up there, they charge in. I've got to make a intimidate check. It's intimidate 2. That does not go well.
Yeah.
We fight. I can stress it to I don't think I can even stress it because I know
you do.
Right. I stress it. We fight. I get some points on the banner.
Yep.
I lose the fight. So I lose so I'm now overcapped. So I must have been overcapped by 1.
Yeah.
Because That's fine. I can.
But you
and
were
I've even lost
frightened.
I was frightened. I've lost a cat, so my stat line goes down. Because Leo is not on the board at this point. She is waiting with the shadows, so there's no encircling defense. So I make my panic test and I fail it. I drop the banner in that corner there, and things get awkward. I physically cannot flee because I am pinned between the side of the map, the impassable terrain, and the harvester rider. So despite being like panicked, I don't leave combat. But my banner is down. I'm already down on the feet. And if I want to, good luck making up 2 points on the primary mission with this. Like if I can get ahead by 1 point on the primary, I'll be happy against this impenetrable wall of scions. So my plan is off the rails, and I start to panic. Now, you may remember from the previous games that I said that you don't do this. And here's why. So out comes the Shadows of the U with Leo. They drop in near that rough ground there, and they charge into the zombies. And I think I'm trying to take the blue point. There's 3 points near forests where I get massive bonuses. I attacked the 1 point with no forest.
I think you charged my L.
That had to be it. That someone had to be exposed.
Yeah, you charged my L, he was exposed.
Yeah, so he's
with 12 zombies.
Yeah, so he does not die to that.
Correction. Mael does not die. And
easily.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have been the puppeteer. I think it was the puppeteer.
Yeah, it had to be
Mael was still back.
Mael was back, and he was your banner carrier.
Yeah, but you went into the puppeteer. Because the puppeteer had moved up with the zombies.
Yes. So this great plan to exploit an opening did not work because the opening didn't exist. Then Mael, who is your banner carrier, comes forward, brings out his rocket launcher, and blows up the Shadows of the U's. And now you're 4 points ahead on the feet because you have more, you haven't dropped your banner, and you've got more banner points.
And even worse, the Outahura had made them flee.
Yes, exactly. So they're they had a switch that lets them jump up the board. So they haven't gone as far as they might have. They're still in the area. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, I can still make this work. I will use the I've got the wardens running up the right side. I'll have I don't have the wood. I have the druid running up the right side. I'll have the Walker of the Leaf Storm pick up the wardens, and then they'll drop out at the end of the turn, get a double activation and start killing stuff. So I drop the Walker, and the thing about Scions is they have tons of spellcasters who don't mind getting tinged. So you dispel my Enter the Portal, and I am just staring at the board flabbergasted because there's no longer time to get out of it before the first round ends. And I just end the activation. Now, the Walker's over there within a single move of that blue point that I could just walk up and take it, but I am too heartbroken. I can't take another action. I just leave her standing there, crying in shame. So the game's kind of a blur from there. What does happen, I know, is eventually I think they must have walked. No, I think I either recast or I walked or something. The wardens get onto the blue point, and they start punching zombies. And the Shadow of the Rowan drops out of space. She's got to be and this was actually such a slick play because you've got I think it was Mael. He is positioned in such a way that I physically cannot get my guys into him because of the body blocking zombies. Yep. So I have to have the I have my archer ambush in, charge off, kill off one or two zombies in a unit. Husks, I should be saying. And then she can link off an activation to let the wardens charge into one of your puppeteers and get them off in that same activation.
Yeah.
So now I was talking about how the Audios gets to do like the stress move trick. I can have exalting the troops running. And this is basically this perfect situation where I have on a victory point, I have my unit of wardens with all the buffs running that they can just activate, stress, attack, de-stress, repeat forever. And they're hitting an enemy that has a very large amount of hit points, but my opponent has to keep activating to refresh the zombies and to get everything to like not be crushed immediately. So we're in a vicious cycle where every turn that passes, I'm getting an incremental advantage on board and in terms of resources, and nothing else is getting done. And eventually I do take this point.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It's a cluster. It was Clouded came in at some point, and the Harvester Riders came back.
Yes,
Clouded. I'd made the mistake of sending out Hura over here at some point, so he was by himself.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. I think he was trying to take a point.
Yeah, I was in position to take it like the next turn, but it was never needed. I also could have just teleported one of the two units over there.
Yes, you could have done that.
Because if I had done that, I think if the Audhura is in that scrum, I think it turns out differently. Because the problem I had against you was your wardens were hammering the Husks, Puppeteer, and Mael, and I had no weapons because the riders were still stuck over here with your Clouded until they jumped away, and Audhura was over here, and turns out Husks don't do anything to you.
Turns out. So it's a very tense back and forth. I think you go up on military points because I don't capture my own blue.
Yeah.
At one point, I end up making you drop your banner, and I must have gone up on military points at some point. Maybe maybe I had more. I must have just had more points after killing all the Husks, and
that's what happened. It was like round one, we went even, I think, on military points.
No, I went down because I didn't capture my own backfield objective.
You didn't need to.
I didn't need to.
No, that's not what it was. So it was just not having. I think what happened was we went even round one. Round two, I had this and this. You had this, but you didn't have your home one. So I had a matching set. You didn't.
That must have been that.
And then round two, you took.
That's it. I took the two blue ones and I knocked out
you got
the back red ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was foolish and moved my Harvester Riders to here to charge someone, and then Aileen was still alive off board.
I just kept having more ambushers who could come on and take uncontested objectives.
Well, and I forgot that Aileen, despite having no spells, is a spellcaster. So in this mission, she was one conquest.
Mm-hmm.
So because I had nothing on it, my Harvester Riders couldn't just walk back and take it from her because she actually was a conquest this time.
Yes.
So you went, I think, 2 up. So then you were 1 ahead on military points in the end.
That's right. In the end. And if I had we had both dropped our banners.
Yeah.
You had more banner points. So if I had gotten that one more point, we could have had an absolute draw.
Yeah.
But because I made a series of indefensible misplays, you end up squeaking it out. You squoze out a win through the brokenness that is Cianon, and that was that.
I won because of tilt. It all came down to the walker forgetting she had a second action.
Yeah, I mean, ironically enough, she's used to portals. She doesn't know how to actually walk.
Yeah. Who thought? Okay. So we have one mission left, which I'm going to assume was their true favorite map. But we'll get there.
This is the one that everybody loved. This is definitely the one that everyone told me how much they loved this map.
Is this correct for your list? Did you go back to the Hawthorne for this last mission?
Yeah. The Hawthorne's been great for me, and I didn't need anything particular for this feat, so the Hawthorne came out.
Cool.
You're gonna tell me what the feat was, and I'll change my mind immediately.
Catch
in
the
2
courier.
seconds.
So let's go over the map first. Everyone's favorite.
Yep, everyone's favorite.
So we have line of sight blocking and impassable. That's all that. And and all this. And then extra fun. We have lethal rugged.
Yeah.
And a weird dead forest.
Forest was also lethal, I think, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I think so. It was a deadly forest, the way they should be. So, mission wise, Expanse is always an interesting one because it's very far apart,
Extremely far apart.
And then we had this Catch This Courier, which
Catch the Courier is for Infinity players. It's kind of like unmasking, where you have a true courier that you're trying to get into your opponent's DZ. And then you have 2 decoy couriers that they can potentially reveal along the way. The way that you play generally signals to your opponent if it's the real one or not, but that's kind of where we're at. So kind of the idea was Expanse really encourages you to get the middle point and then push all the way into your opponent's DZ. Yeah. And it's if we're going to be doing that anyway, then it disguises the courier a bit more because you have more options of people that want to go all the way there.
For sure.
So what was the thought with the map?
So the thought with the map was one side has this really defensible thing where people can't get into your DZ very easily. All of that.
And this wall.
You have effectively the edge of the board and one gap, and it's I can defend this, and no one wants to take red, orange, yellow for free and stop on the rugged terrain and then have to take red, orange, yellow again to keep walking, right?
And they were wide, so you might not even get across on the
Yeah,
right. These are I think we need to play with more. It's no longer Sinister. They changed Sinister to just
no, Sinister's still around.
Okay.
It altered a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's end an activation near it now. It used to be start an activation.
I think it is it in silhouette contact now instead of 4?
No, it went down to 3. I think it was 4,
yeah.
Now it's 3. And it's end an activation, not start an activation.
So I feel that, lethal terrain, sinister terrain, etc. makes for really interesting map setups. It's one thing if the terrain is hindering you, it's another if it's actively dangerous. It becomes a much more oh, this is a problem instead of this is a minor annoyance. And so you have to play around it and you have to think about it. And having things that could potentially ignore it or jump over it or whatnot is really, really valuable.
Or as I saw watching someone else's game, very fun to push your opponent into it.
Yes. I have a custom mission where the objectives are places you don't want to go. Like you effectively lose points when people go onto the objectives. And so you're trying to like force people onto them.
Oh, that's funny.
Just like, I'm going to shove you from winning combat and get you on here kind of thing. But, you know, either way, the idea was you have a really defensible side and you have a side that has a bit more access, but way less defensible. Like the gaps are all a lot bigger. It has like a little protected little pocket, but it's not the huge expanse. The practice for a lot of people are like, well, if you start on top side, you can never get to the objective, to the center objective, which is something that I wasn't really thinking about. I was thinking about it from the like tactical defensive side instead of the aggressive angle, which for expanse, capturing the blue objective is really important. So that's people were not mad about there being lethal terrain, which is good. In fact, in the post, I even said the words before, in the exit survey, people are like, yeah, you should keep doing more lethal and sinister terrain. I like seeing it. And you could even do it more. And it's like, I could even do it more. Okay. But
next season, the map, the floor is lava.
The floor is lava. We're gonna add jumping to Warcrow. But the biggest concern for most people was that, yeah, if I'm starting topside, I have to have a way to jump over the giant like bunker right here, or it takes me like 3 activations to get to the center objective, which is a totally legitimate concern.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Xenon player, like players with ambushers or players that have like really good place, like Raiders or Shadow of the Hawthorn, etc., can just like, well, I'm just going to jump over this and I'm fine. So it was there were thoughts, there just weren't considerations.
Yeah, and it's still new, right? Like, where everyone's still getting used to making tables, things like this happen. One weird thing with the mission that came up in my game, which, if it was an official mission, I think would be caught. You need to choose 3 people. They need to be separate. It's missing an important line of text that says they cannot then join.
Oh, as in they can't join later in the game?
Because, for example, in my game, my opponent had the Ice Bear be his real one, separate from Skin Changers, and then just first activation joined the Skin Changers. So then it was a lot to chew through.
And way harder to kill that courier.
Which seems like something that in a normal mission, there's like that one extra line of text. So anyone playing with this mission, I'd recommend putting in that line of text.
Yeah. Like with Banner, they have to be, they cannot join or be joined. Although having 3 units that cannot join or be joined is also a lot.
Well, it's... Yeah.
Because they have to start on the table, and they can't join, and they can't be joined. That is a lot.
It would hurt CNN. So everyone would be happy about it. It's fine. The Druid, the Wardens, and then choose someone else to start on the table. Speaking of, okay, who were your decoys in Banner Bears?
So we played I played a CNN mirror this game. We had a lot of jokes about how unfair CNN was. My opponent did not bring a druid, so there was only one druid forest, and I was on top after losing the command roll.
Okay.
Oh,
and
man. I have yet to see a table that is 2 forests with 2 druid forests, and that just sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Well,
I guess if you're both playing elves, it's not a big deal.
They're equally benefiting.
Yeah, No, okay. I guess that's actually not bad because they're all just like,
I see it anyway.
So you think equally benefiting. It didn't turn out that way. See, I put my forest exactly between the two bottom objectives, like right straddling his deployment zone, right there. So now, because I think if I put it on the middle objective, it helps us both. But if I put a like Walker exit point in his deployment zone, that only helps me.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So my banner carrier, like the real one, was the Hawthorne, because he's a guy who is hard to kill and who can leap across terrain.
get there. Yeah.
He could just get there. So that was my logic. I deployed my guys mostly in a cluster behind the big axe. I figured like the only way I'm gonna get out is with Walker anyway, so I'll just deploy like centrally safely and use the Walker. Except for the Hawthorne, who was gonna jump because he can't be placed without losing the message, so he was like on the right objective. So my opponent goes first. Because I chose to go second, because usually that is best for the for primaries. And the thing about playing against CNN is he also has Shadows of the U. So his first activation, Leo U comes down and immediately vaporizes my Hawthorne, because he's like, come on, that's the obvious messenger guy. He's got the message, I kill him. So
who were your decoys? Druid
the Druid, and I think we missed the line where you couldn't join, so it was the Druid and the Wardens. So he obliterates the Hawthorne. But coming back to reading the messages, reading the scenario is important. He had not read the part where your messenger has to start in your deployment zone. So he's got his Wardens, and like that's it. He didn't bring a Druid. He's got a bunch of scouts, but they can't be it. So we both figure out our couriers pretty quickly.
It's like
I
was supposed to be this guy, but I can only be this guy. Okay.
Yep. So he picks a guy off. He backs off. He's got so I make a decision. I can try to like fight his Leo Slaith, or I can say, you've just put your most important unit near nothing important. You got your thing. I'm just gonna leave. So I drop my Walker. I like pick up my entire army that is surviving, just the Druid and the not the Druid. It was just the Wardens, and we pick up. The Druid is over on the side somewhere. I think I got it backwards. The Druid was on the right. The Hawthorne was on the left. That's where he got sniped.
Okay.
And the Druid, I just don't even activate because like he's just gonna get guided.
So Druid's hanging out over here.
He's hanging out over there. We'll worry about him later.
And your opponent just has this objective now.
He's got that objective. Leo ran onto it. I don't want to fight that mess. So I pick up my guys with the Walker. He walks somewhere else. I think he like rested Leo or something. So then I drop my guys into the Druid forest down there, where he has deployed his Wardens centrally to go for the center objective. So because of the way Walker works, I just place her in melee. I place my Wardens in melee. They activate immediately, stress to attack, and then the Audios transfers one stress from himself to the other Wardens. Because I can be placed in melee, when they activate, they can do two simple actions.
Wait, where did the stress come from?
He's stressing.
So they push their attack.
Oh, so you do the attack and then you do.
Then I herbs
stress.
afterwards.
Okay. I thought you were saying you interrupted the attack to do it, but you're saying resolve the full attack, then do it. Okay.
Exactly. This is just devastating. His Wardens all die immediately. He's down to just the I must have had exhaustion the troops running. because but anyway, his guys all die immediately. He's down to just the Sienna captain, whose morale drops considerably. So she's massively overstressed. She flees immediately. No, that's wrong. It took 2 attacks. I hit him once.
Yeah.
He lives. He drops his walker, tries to pick up his units to get away. And that is where all of that hatred and rage that I acquired in the previous match from the walker whiffing his spell, the druid channels that, dispels his enter the portal, and he's just left sitting there. So I get a second hit. That's where I finish off his wardens. His courier runs off into nowhere. And now my shadows are still off the table. And it's a matter of who can do the primary better.
Yeah.
And I have wardens which have conquest 2, and he does not.
Yeah.
His walker is deployed nowhere near his shadows. So she's got to there was a window when I could have picked her off, and I probably should have prioritized her, but I didn't. So I let her get away. She can eventually pick up Leo, bring her back to the fight. We both have a bunch of ambushes. We're running around in circles. Because I have the bigger conquest blob, I take the middle. We go about even on the outlying objectives. Over the course of no one left behind and 2 moves, the druid eventually walks all the way down to the bottom right objective and takes it uncontested for most of a turn before someone has to chase him down and pick him off. He dies immediately as soon as someone touches him, but him standing there is relevant at one point.
That's funny.
And when the dust settles, we've tied on the feet, and I'm up by a point or 2 on the on military points. And that's all she wrote. There was some flashiness at the beginning, and then a lot of running in circles, because that's how scene and roll.
That's fun. Yeah, that's clever, because especially it sounds like once his walker came down on the south side, there's not a good forward. She can't just pick herself up to teleport to the shadows.
Yep.
Just to walk or get another Nemeris unit over there.
Yeah, he had the Clouded. I think the Clouded ran over there because they were once the wardens were hitting them, there was no reason for them to stand around in the middle.
Okay. Oh wow, cool. It's always nice to hear CNN hitting CNN.
Yeah, it was a fun game. It was good practice.
Yeah. Also, you did the most important thing. If you want to beat CNN, the trick is block the Walker's spell. You block Walker's spell,
Yeah, it's easy.
9 times out of 10, massive boost. 1, they don't get what they want, which is absurd usually. And 2, the opponent usually tilts a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm still totally pushing for a counterspell unit, like a dedicated counterspell unit that either has elite on blocking or rolls triple blue instead of triple black.
Yeah.
Because I'm a dirty human. And that sounds like it would be a feudum unit or a hedge unit, if anything.
It could be dwarves. They have this special anti-magic white orichalcum alloy.
Yeah, but not at range, right? That'd be someone that has dispel double green on their profile.
You could have them. You could have them have within a shorter range super dispel. They have smoke bombs that just cut people out.
I don't know.
Magic has gotten a lot better in the game since launch. Both how casting works and more of the spells actually are impactful, which is really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we just need to get no. Hedge finally has all their spells working now.
Yeah.
Things are pretty good. They just don't have the Caladron twins anymore. which is just
Warcrow Adventure stuff. It's
crazy
one
good.
day, maybe. So that's the event. Do either of you, I guess, have any final thoughts while we wrap up? Congrats again to MechMage for taking it all home.
Thank you very much. Man, I guess I've just got a question for Skye, and like that. When's the next season?
It's going to be soon. Mostly poor Kyoza he's doing a bunch because he had to do a bunch of rebuilding on the mod anyway, and he already had a bunch of things that we were going to implement soon anyway. He's effectively just rebuilding everything from the ground up with like a new architecture, and that's allowing a lot of big changes to be made. Like, I know a lot of people are like, hey, I love the movement templates, but they throw my dudes everywhere. And yes, we're working on fixing that. Like, hey, can we have 3D models? Yes, 3D models are coming. Like, there's a lot like going on behind the scenes, and I mostly don't have to do anything except for occasionally take pictures of my models. Like, Kyoza is a saint and is doing all of that. But so pretty much we want to, the next season will be kind of a stress test of all of these new like fancy things that we're adding, like multi-language support for everything, and like synced states on cards and models, and like there's a lot. So I don't know, but it will be soon TM, as all Corvus Belly things are.
It gives us something to look forward to. Thank you so much for enabling all this.
Yes.
Oh, I'm an enabler. You know it.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. I'll definitely do a video. We'll probably need something going over how to actually work all the different implementations, but
you probably will. I will be making a how to do Warcrow online, because it's not going to be all different, but it's going to be a lot of new features to play with and stuff. And, you know, there's going to be maybe some UI like prettiness and whatnot. I have a couple of artists that I can potentially contact and get some like prettier assets for things. But
nice.
Yeah, so we want to make this like really, really good, and we want people to have lots of fun and have it be as seamless and as easy as possible. Like playing Spirit Island on Tabletop Simulator rocks, because so many things are taken care of for you. And we want as many things as is reasonable and comfortable for people to be like automated and easy and like seamless, so that people can play as much as possible with as few headaches as possible. Like, there are a certain amount of, playing online is trickier and harder because like measurements are really exact, and like getting down and checking things is harder. It's easier and harder and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we want everything that we can make easier to be as easy and as comfortable as possible.
That's awesome.
And we want people to have fun playing Warcrow, because, more Warcrow games means more data, which means, I mean, more people having fun is good. But as a playtester and someone who has a bit of direct contact with CV, more data is really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking forward to it. If there's nothing else, we can sign off. Going once, going twice.
Well, thank you for putting all of this together. It's been fun. And I think we should go our separate ways now.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We gotta go. Player. We have to be done before the seminar starts, and that, we still have 6 hours.
Yeah, we got time. No,
4 hours. Shoot. Okay, we better get going. with that, thank you both so much for coming and chatting about the league and your road to victory. We'll have you on next time after the next league, maybe. We'll see. MechMage defend your title. Thank you all for watching. What? Sorry?
I said I'll try to defend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obi, go for the upset again. Let's go.
Exactly. So for anyone watching, please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. All that good stuff I say every single video. And until next time, may the dice be ever in your favor.
See ya.